Hi everyone, in this video I'm going to show you just a quick look inside Spark AI Studio of the effect Hollywood that I created. I'm going to fly soon, so I decided to just finish the project. I wanted to add a few things, but I've decided to just wrap it up and share it with you, so I can just release it and do other things that I have to do. So this project was, the idea was to, I'm going to show it to you, you can try it of course on wowfilters.com, on Instagram and on Facebook on wowfilters. Just going to show it to you quickly. So there's this popcorn bucket, and you start with this one, and when you tap the screen, movie starts. And a projector at the back, and kind of give you a sense of feeling and an old film kind of noise there. Popcorn coming out from the 3D bucket, and when user opens their mouth, they're going to see popcorn coming in, and if you just pan with your finger, it's going to go to other direction from the mouth, outside of the mouth. And there's are those, I'm going to pause it for a second. Oh, actually I want to show you another thing. When you tap it again, let's go to intermission. Light is on, and then if you want to start the movie again, tap it again, movie starts. So this effect was actually, I wanted to create something a bit different, because usually I'm in the learning process, so I try many things, but the goal here was to try to take things, one level further and pay attention to the fine details, and that's why I actually want to show it to you. So there are many things here that makes the entire experience look better, which includes a combination of 3D models, textures, masking, and using of sprite animation, which is popcorn is actually sprite animation, by the way, because I wanted to mimic the effect of 3D movement, several lighting effects, and transformations of images. If you look here closely, you can actually see that I put a reflection with flickering of a screen, of a movie screen, which you can slightly see it. So instead of just having this plain semi-transparent blue and red, I put another texture and kind of created an effect like there's a screen there. So again, it was all paying attention to the fine details to make the scene appears more lively, more authentic, and more interesting to look at. So when I usually develop filters, I have an idea, I kind of rush for it, and I can finish it in about an hour or two. This one I spend more time because I wanted to really learn other things that and there are other complications, of course, that comes up when you try to do things with higher complexity. And here you can see this also uses segmentation. By the way, this scene can further be optimized, by the way, so even this image can be cut off. There are things that can be optimized further, but it's relatively a lightweight filter, around 700-800 kilobytes when compressed. So the thing is that I use many things, including segmentation, and I realized I needed to do many things in order to use the layering properly with the 3D objects, so they won't overlap based on the distance of the user from the camera. So again, segmentation, which also with face mesh retouching, and I also found out there's a visual bug here with the popcorn box. When user open their mouth, you can see kind of lines. I have no idea how to solve this, so I had no idea how to solve it, and whatever I tried, it didn't work. So eventually what I did was to create a mask that actually delete the inner part of the texture, the texture of the inner part of the popcorn box there. So it's actually removed. You won't see it usually when the user just like this. Even if you bend the head, user bends the head, you won't see it. But actually solved when seeing part of the lines inside the mouth. So there were deep complications, but eventually I was able to make it all come together and use it and make it look as I wanted it to be. And in fact, I was actually developing another filter, which I'm going to release soon, which actually had without segmentation, because segmentation limits the reach of the filter. It doesn't work on all devices. Some old devices won't be able to run this. So what I did, I decided, well, I'm not going to finish it like that. I'm going to just stop and create another project, and then create this filter Hollywood with all the things that this is actually right we see is actually how I wanted the filter to be. But due to complications and things, I thought to myself, no, I'm not going to do this. But later on, just 20 minutes later, I said to myself, oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to take it to the next level and try to make it work. I first thought they're going to be things that I wouldn't be able to do. Although I asked a few things in forums, but I didn't get any answer. Eventually, I was able to do things myself and solve all the issues that I had with this filter. And it's actually worked quite nice. I mean, considering all the elements that you have here, the performance was pretty good, and the file size was actually relatively very low, so I was quite surprised. But one thing that was very important is to optimize all the media assets. I'm going to show it to you for a second. View asset summary. I'll show it to you. So this is the download size, and you can see for iOS it's 800, 700. So relatively, it's pretty good. I mean, I reduced the file size quite significantly, but I still wanted the things to look good. And again, so I paid attention to doing good optimization and balance the image quality and the file size, of course, and instead of relying on SparkER optimization. So I'm going to show to you, for example, this International BG. This is a material. For example, where is it? This one I actually created. So see, I'm taking no compression because this is weight 30 kilobytes, and if I take this one, the download is actually more and on device. So I actually ticked it and use my own optimization, just let it pass through. And again, I'm using external tools to make the compression. I'm not relying on the built-in compression here, because those can do much better job and have much finer control over how things look. This one, actually, this image I created, I actually saw some intermission, old style intermission from the 20s and 30s, and I wanted something similar. Eventually use a free image for this one. This was a vector body. You adjust this thing. It was actually in black, this symbol decoration. I brought it. This one is from Google Fonts, actually chosen a font. I created everything with an overlay, old overlay of a background, and apply it as an overlay blend with the black background, and I actually created this one using a border, and this one I did with a hand, just drawing it with a hand around it, and then apply the blend to the white text and everything. It looks a bit kind of an old style intermission sign that you get from movies in the 20s and 30s. Now this filter also has sounds, and I love adding sounds. I know some people mute their filters, but when I decided I want to create something kind of beautiful full experience, I wanted sound to be available. You can still enjoy it without sound, of course, but as you can see, I have several speakers here for projecting on, pop sound for the popcorn, also one for the popcorn background. It's a slide like speaker for projector off, which you can just gonna see. Now we're gonna see the projector off. Look, see, and there's also the bell sound, the ding, as you see here. And now many things are actually turned off, but when I tap, all the beauty of the effect just kicks in and just looks much better. Now, of course, as I told you, there are still ways to optimize things, and this is important when you're delivering experience, especially something that has lots of multimedia files, images, and especially the textures. And if your particle system, actually use particle system here for the popcorn. And regarding the popcorn, I first wanted to use 3D, but I knew that I want to project many of the popcorn, so just making many instances of the popcorn 3D was probably going to be too much, and I eventually decided to just go with an image, but I wanted it to be more, I don't know, more like it's kind of popping up like in a microwave, or just when you just pop popcorn out, you're going to be kind of rotating, but it's just a 3D. So what I did was actually created rotations for those, and I also created a sprite sheet, which is actually the sprite sheet. Oh yeah, maybe popcorn animation, which is a set of texture. It uses alright, sprite sheet. Where's the check? Yeah, let me see here. Yeah, sprite sheet popcorn. As you can see, there are several popcorns here. So what I did was actually creating a loop that goes from each one, and then it can appear like it's changing different size, and it's actually kind of popping up, and even and with the rotation it looks kind of really nice, instead of just choosing one and just going with it. So I decided to use this one, this idea again, so it will look just better, especially coming out of the mouth. And of course I chose the right speed, so it goes well with the sound effects, so synchronizing everything to make it feel better when watching it. In terms of lighting, I use several lighting effects here. Some of them are underneath the face tracker. As you can see, this is the spotlight for the blinking flickering of the screen inside there. Yeah, even for this, but maybe this is too much, because usually when you do things you want to optimize, you're probably going to drop lighting that you actually don't need, or don't actually do something prominent in the scene visually, so you can actually drop this off again. But I was searching for something kind of more complete, so I actually did it. And when I saw that the performance didn't degrade so much, so I actually decided to stay with it. And of course I could spend more time, but I actually deleted the ambience because I wanted just the ambience is only, I not deleted it, I actually use it only when you tap. Here I use the ambience, but here I actually remove the ambience. I'm hitting the ambience light, and because I wanted to create lighting that looks a bit more dramatic, and where light is coming from the front. So here at the bottom is going to be dark, and the right side and left side, so it's going to be like more enclosed effect when you sit in a cinema and watching a movie from the screen. Now I wanted to darken the body, but because this is actually segmentation, if I darken it, you're gonna see it's a pass-through here, and it's this hole here, so you can see a dark teeth, so it actually didn't work. So what eventually I've done was I created kind of a dark gradient here at the bottom of the screen, so it's actually and usually most people will their face will be kind of in the middle, a bit down maybe of the screen, so it actually won't affect this one, and even it affects the slide here at the bottom, it doesn't matter, it still gives a good look that I was searching for. So again, kind of a gradient texture here to create this effect, and also emphasis on the face here instead of the body. And because I wanted the switch to be very, to have a big difference between when going into intermission and just watching the movie. As you can see here, now we're going to see the body because this layer is actually gone. You see? Now you can actually see the body. And I wanted this part to be clearly visible when you go into intermission, and that's why I did it. Now there's another thing, if you pay attention, that the face is a bit bluish. So I actually used a layer, kind of a lens flare, because I wanted kind of variety, and something added a bit blue in order to make everything fits in nicely with the color of the projector, this bluish thing. So if you look at the chairs and the face, they're kind of bluish because I wanted everything to blend in, bluish, kind of purplish. So, and now if I'm gonna turn it off, look at the chairs and the face now. See, the face now has a natural white color, white light color, same as the chairs. And I'm gonna change it back. You can see the difference. Now regarding animations, I actually in code did pretty much quite a few things. I used drivers in order to create animation that aren't actually just smooth. Sorry, I created animation. I wanted animation that are smooth, so I didn't use change visibility on and off. I actually created gradual changes. For example, here you can see a flickering. Look, oh, not just here. Sorry, not here. Yeah, when you turn on, when you turn off, and the flickering in the background, it's all uses drivers, animation drivers, instead of just hidden elements on and off. And even here, you can see that the face, there's a flickering. When you watch the screen, the lighting of the screen actually changes. So I actually wanted to be reflected on the screen, so I actually use interval with random values for each interval, so it actually, the light flickering will appear not linearly. So I didn't want to be linear, so I actually use it with different intervals each time. So it creates kind of flicks here, maybe in a second it's going to flick again, or maybe 1/100th of a second is going to flick, or maybe in 2 seconds. So I play with it, with the value of the intervals for the lights. It's very small, but this is actually, if I start taking things off, it will look, it will look not that natural because of everything. When everything comes together, they're all composite. It looks quite realistic, like we're actually inside the cinema and watching the movie. So basically there are many details here. Again, I'm just going over the fine details, but there are quite a few details here, as you can see, and all of those are actually making the effect looks more authentic. And of course I was playing, make sure that the lighting is correct. I think I could do it a bit better if I spend more time, but as I told you, I wanted to finish this up. By the way, this gap won't be seen. The reason there's a gap here is because for the mouth, because I wanted this is actually a face mesh with a hole in the mouth, so I wanted things to see. I wanted the mouth to look clear. I can't just use here the texture of the mouth, because if the mouth is open, it's going to be distorted. So there's a hole, and then I use the person's texture, segmentation here in the back, and I wanted the mouth to appear natural. So I needed to make sure there's a hole, so you won't see actually the box, and you can see the texture, this texture with the segmentation here of the user, so this face appears natural and clean and clear. So again, lots of positioning and layering and proper lighting and use of sounds and so many things that I usually don't do in many filters, because I'm learning one thing, 2 things, 3 things, combining it into something. So I don't usually take this one step further in order to make it. But in this filter I actually want it because this is the next step for me. As you can see, I start sharing how I do my filters. So in terms of learning process, I felt confident enough to start sharing things because I started this like, I don't know, 7 months ago, 8 months ago. So I was always learning. And of course, there's always things to learn, always. Still, I'm still educating myself every single day with new things. But I wanted to start sharing things. And this is, but I got to a point where when I start sharing, I actually want to make things better in terms of paying attention to the fine details and getting things to look perfect how I want the filter to look. So that's why I did it. Let's see. So in terms of interactions, of course you can go crazy with interactions. So I wanted, first of all, when you open the mouth, popcorn comes in, but I did it in the script, so only when you open like from 0.4 the popcorn actually appear. So I didn't want the popcorn to appear immediately. Why? Because I wanted people to still be able to just speak and won't see things coming inside or outside of the mouth. So I just did it at a higher opening, mouth openness, and because you can still speak, but if you want this to come in, you open your mouth bigger and then the popcorn will come in. That's the reason I did it. Again, paying attention to those fine details and understanding how to try to perfect the user interaction and see how people actually will use the filter, either when talking or just want to share this animation or combine the two of them together. So and then first of all, I did it when the popcorn was actually coming out of the mouth, like this, you see, I just pan. So this was actually the default one, but I said, oh, come on, again, I'm thinking about the user. They eat popcorn when they're in the cinema. So I decided to change it and make it so popcorn comes inside the mouth. But I actually also like the other one. So I said, all right, let's give users the option to have both. So I just added the pen option, which of course I needed to share. As you see, actually there was a part where the light was actually turning out and I just stopped it. So I wanted to have both. So with the pen, just pen motion, we can actually switch between the two. Right? So you can put either the popcorn comes in or the popcorn comes out with just a palm movement. And I think a pen movement is actually a good one, although I didn't put something like a pen note and actually explain in the video. That's why I think some people will miss it. It's something maybe I should have done, but I didn't want to complicate things with too many messages and keep it simple. And the one that popcorn comes inside the mouth was the most important one, so I just left it as is. Again, also I make sure that the sound effect volume is correct. Sometimes it's too much, when I edit this in Audacity, I actually put it is relatively high, so I need to test it out. So why? Because I want the voice and the sound effect to live harmonically together, so you can still read the user. In some of my effects, the sound effects were too high, you can't even hear the user when they speak. So again, making sure that testing it, making sure that when I speak, you can still hear the sound effect of this popcorn, and also if the user speaks, you can hear the users as well. As you can see, the lighting, as many as usually I give names, but that's usually I don't do like things like that. Usually give name layers. But with just one thing quickly, so just ran through it. Again, I need to fly, so I have relatively little amount of time to do this, but I wanted to finish it. So this is what I do when I need to do things fast. But in general, just give them meaningful names, so it's easy to understand what each one does. This one was due to me. I needed to lighten up certain areas and exclude different ones. Again, making sure the lighting doesn't affect everything, just affect the certain elements in the scene that I want to be lit, and others are actually excluded. And paying attention, this one actually the spotlight, so I just wanted for this, excluded almost everything and just put for this. Playing with the intensity, choosing the right lighting for this job, and playing with the properties to get the right effect and controlling this using script. Patch editor is actually quite minimalistic. I usually use it just for the pulse, to get those pulses out and bring in to the script. You see 3 pulses for pan, tap, and open, and then I use it in the scripting to create more advanced interactions, because it's very easy for me to do things with script rather than creating more complex patch editor, because I'm comfortable with scripting, and it's very easy for me to understand what I do and control the flow and manage the code. It's very easy for me, especially if you have good IDE, either use Visual Code or Visual Studio. So for me, this is the way to do it, and usually most of my filters I'm doing with JavaScript coding, and I can do things really fast because of this, and I don't get lost with the logic inside very bloated patch editor sections. This is some advantages, but when it gets bigger and you need many more things in the project, it's not that simple. I found the patch editor to be less convenient for me compared to and I tried before making things more complicated with the patch editor. I didn't like it. Sometimes I just want to do fine control the thing, change things with the code, and I need everything. I need to add a node, and just coding is so fast and very convenient. So it's not it's not even a question for me which one I want to choose. But of course, there are things that I will use in patch editor when I think it's more convenient, or just easy to do, or there's maybe there's one thing, for example, I'm importing a patch and I need to use it. Anyway, I can combine the two. I'm not limited, but most of the code that I do is usually in script. It's around the 200 lines of codes, 250 lines of code to make this one work. If we remove the white lines, the empty lines. So this is it. This is Hollywood Instagram filter, which is available now on wowfilters.com, and again, now you can understand the work that was actually put into making it. Of course, I can make it easier and simpler, which I actually did with the other filter, which I'm going to release a bit later, without the segmentation, and actually did several things, even changed the face to black and white, and did other options. You're going to see it in once I release it. But you can see this is kind of a filter that I did in order to learn. And again, every filter that I do, I choose something so I can learn, and now of course share the knowledge, so I can get my Spark AI filter development skill further, the next level. So for me it was really important, and I learned quite a few things here, especially when you want to combine so many things with segmentation and layering and 3D and retouching everything. You need to know what you're doing, and of course I made mistakes on the way. I didn't know how to do things, and eventually I was able to achieve this, and I know now if I want to do something similar, I know that I can do it, and this is the most important thing to me, knowing that I can do it. Because if I know I can do it, I can start working on it and not say, this is going to be so complicated. I want this type of filter, but it's too complex. I'm going to put it aside. No. Now my mind is open. Usually when I think creatively, I don't think with my limitations, but when I have things and I have other things and limitations in terms of time, I try to prioritize things, and usually there are some things that just put aside, but not because I'm limiting my creative thinking, but because of my time limit that I have for creating filters. So eventually, now I have a clear mind. I know that I can do it. Not just this, I know I can actually do this fast. So this one, something similar to this, won't be an issue. So this is good. So once I learned it, I give time to start learning how to do those things. I'm getting better at it. I learn it. I can do it faster. And if I think about a similar idea, I know I can execute it relatively fast. So it's important to always practice and learn, so you can do things like that. And again, if you look at it, it doesn't look like something super special, right? That's what I think. I mean, you can see all those details but as you can see, I put a lot of effort to make sure that everything is I wanted it to be. Just hope that everyone else will enjoy this filter. Again, 2 other variations are going to be released quite soon, probably when I came back. So I'll share it with you. If you enjoyed this one, and head on to my Instagram and check it out. I hope you enjoy it. And more filters are coming. And again, I try to take things always to the next level to learn more things and share with you so we can do something similar to this yourself as well. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Don't forget to subscribe. Bye bye.